I think one of the nice things with the agreement to host the World Championships this year is that Eric and the UCI president, David Lepartier, share a similar vision in the opportunity that esports can deliver for sport and also for cycling.
Welcome to Endorphin Podcast. Here at Endorphin Podcast, you listen to stories and opinions from triathletes, cyclists, runners, and swimmers. Interesting people fueled by endorphin.
Hello everybody, how are you? My guest today is Chris Snook, international PR at Zwift, the most popular cycling training tool on the market, especially today. We've recorded this chat on the first days of 2020. Obviously, the overall scenario has changed. Nevertheless, it was a very interesting conversation about the Leader app on virtual training, its conception, present and future. We also talked about their vision of the Brazilian market, triathlon and also running. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. This episode is brought to you by BOVEN Energy. BOVEN is an energy trading company that has a reliable and experienced team of experts available to get you the best deals, a trustful and solid company. As well as for endorphin guests, for BOVEN, energy is serious business. Check them at boven.com.br. This episode is also brought to you by 7 Sherpas. Let's listen a testimonial from a satisfied customer.
My name is Eduardo Campos. I'm a vice president for pre-sales and innovation at Salesforce in Brazil. I'm a 7 Sherpas customer. They have taken me to places that I never imagined could exist. The trip was really amazing, an amazing experience, because if we add the experience from the guides, seasoned athletes, to the most unique routes and places that we trained, that made a huge difference in my training, in my preparation for my last Ironman. It was like an amazing travel experience combined with a very intense and productive week of sports. So I truly recommend, if you're a seasoned triathlete, if you're serious about your training, or even if you are a guy looking for a great experience that combines the sport with pleasure, that you really reach to 7 Sherpas, and they're going to make your trip special.
That was Eduardo Campos, a happy customer from 7 Sherpas. 7 Sherpas is a California-based company specialized in sports experiences in the world's top destinations with exclusive itineraries designed by travel and sports experts. In addition to the pre-scheduled travel calendar, 7 Sherpas also offer day rides and customized trips for you, your family, or group of friends. Follow them on 7 Sherpas at Instagram and visit 7sherpas.com. This episode is also brought to you by Supercas, the brand that delivers the sexiest and most technical cycling products on the market. Born in California back in 2010, Supercas wanted to deliver more casuality and color to the cycling world. Bar tapes, grips, gloves, socks and saddles made by Supercas are race-proven. Some of the world's best cyclists have tested and approved Supercas accessories for the past decade. Go to ultracycli.com.br to check the bike shops that sell Supercas products here in Brazil, or go to supercas.com to check the complete line of products and accessories. Check Supercas on Instagram at supercasbr and Supercas. Hello, Chris. Welcome to the Endorphina podcast.
Hi, Michael. Thanks very much. Glad to be here.
Tell us, what is the Zwift relationship with Brazil?
So Zwift actually has an office based in Rio. It's our third largest office behind the headquarters in Long Beach, California, and also London. And we have all our engineering and server team based there.
And how come did you choose Brazil?
It actually stems back to a previous company that our CEO and co-founder ran. So he had a number of good relations in Rio and brought some of the old workforce from his previous company across to help start with Zwift.
Okay, we're going to talk about Zwift and Brazil a little further. Mm-hmm. But tell us about your childhood. Where you born, family, contact with sports, and an early age. You said you skied and played some other sports.
I did.
Tell us a little bit.
Yeah, so I had a fairly active childhood. I've always loved sports. Where I grew up, I grew up in a small village in Berkshire in the UK. That village is actually very well known for horse racing. So a lot of the horse races that the horses that race the Grand National come from the village where I come from, Lambourn. But yeah, as a child, I was doing all sorts of sports. I played rugby, football, tennis, all to reasonable standards, and I also raced slalom, skiing when I was at university. But it was really cycling that became my passion from about 2005. And yeah, so it's really kind of stemmed from there and taken over.
Yes. And how did you end up getting in contact with cycling and start riding your bike?
It was while I was at university. So I went to university in Cardiff, in Wales. I was looking for a way to get some fitness back, and I started riding with one of the local cycling clubs in Cardiff. And realized I had some ability for it. So when I finished university, I started to race, and yeah, had some good success. And I rode with a British continental professional team for 2 years between 2013 and 2014.
How was cycling in general in England? How was your impression and the whole country impression about cycling? Because we've heard a lot that before London, the cycling union and England in general developed a lot of the cycling back then, and then it turned out the huge success that we're seeing for the last decade or more.
Correct. Yeah. So when I first started cycling, it was still a very small sport, and people looked at you a bit strangely when you arrived in a cafe in your cycling kit. But it was really 2012 when we had such success at the Velodrome. Bradley Wiggins won the Tour de France that year as well, and momentum started to pick up behind cycling, and we set up some great mass participation events and races like the Ride London Sportive that takes place every year now. So yeah, it's a huge contrast between when I started and where cycling is now, and it's becoming a mainstay of the sport in the UK.
You graduated in ancient and medieval history. How did you end up interested in such a odd discipline?
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one, but I think like a lot of people when I was growing up, I struggled to know exactly what I wanted to do. So when it came to choosing a degree, the advice I was given was to choose something that I was good at and something that I enjoyed. And I always really enjoyed the study of history and fancied trying something different. So I did ancient and medieval history. But it's different. It's a talking point, and it's worked out well for me.
And did you ever plan to work with it? And in what field can you work with all that knowledge besides being a teacher?
I did contemplate teaching for a while. My parents my mother was a teacher, her brother was a teacher, and my grandmother was a teacher as well. So I come from that background, but it was actually my dad's profession, PR, that I ended up falling into, and it was his advice. That was the reason why I took up history. He suggested that a lot of the skills I could draw from that degree would transfer well across to what I do now. And
when did you choose to work within the bicycle market? You worked at Even Cycles, that huge cycling chain, stores chain.
Yes. Yeah.
And then now at Zwift.
Yeah, so Particularly in the role that I'm in, it really pays to be passionate about what you do, and I really wanted to do something that I believed in. So cycling became my absolute passion at university. So it was a real strong desire for me. Ideally, I wanted to work in sports, and if it could be cycling, then all the better. So I was really fortunate that I managed to forge a career for myself in this area.
At Brand Nation, where you also worked before, did you work within the sports branch?
I did, yeah. So I was the account director for the sports division at Brand Nation. I managed a number of different clients. So Wiggle, another well-known UK cycling brand, was a client that I was there. But we also did some running brands, Saucony, Merrill, and also golf as well. So that was a little bit more diverse, that role.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think cycling has that catched your attention? What are the qualities or the sensation?
So I think one of the nice qualities, and one of the main reasons why I actually got into it, was because it allows a chance to really escape, as well as to gain fitness. So for me, when I was studying for my degree at university, I was working very hard. And for me, it was a chance to escape the hustle and bustle of the city, and explore some of the countryside and have some time to myself. So I enjoy the social side of cycling, but I also actually enjoy the chance to escape on my own and mull things over in my head as well.
I see. Did you ride bicycles when a young kid? BMX or something?
Yeah, I think all the photos of me when I was younger, I was just always on a bike. So it was. It's funny to think that it took me so long to actually start racing a bike, because I was on a bike from about as soon as I could walk, I was on a tricycle, and I've never really been off a bike since.
And Chris, when did your path cross Zwift? It was September 2017?
Correct, yeah.
And how did you end up getting in touch with Zwift and then beginning working there?
So I'd seen what Zwift had been doing for quite some time when they launched in 2014 with the beta product. And then one of the things that really captured my attention at the time was the launch of the Women's Zwift Academy with Canyon SRAM. I thought that was a really innovative concept to be able to offer a professional cycling contract. I thought it was also good that they were doing it with a women's professional team first as well. Mm-hmm. So it was very, very much on my radar, and it was a company that I had my eye on if an opportunity arose. Unfortunately, in 2017, it did. Various worlds aligned. So I'd previously known the vice president of marketing, Steve Beckett. I'd worked with him previously at another of my roles, and I had a friend who had also joined, and I was informed that they were looking for someone to lead on their PR. So yeah, it was really lucky, and I've never looked back since.
Nice. And always in England, never in the US.
I travel around quite a lot. So my role is a global one, which is fun. So I do get to travel across to the US a lot, around Europe, and also to Asia. Brazil is the one that's not been ticked off yet, and I hope to go out sometime soon.
Is the US the main market nowadays?
The biggest single country, followed by the United Kingdom. So English language countries are very strong for Zwift, and that's no surprise because the game and the website has been in English for quite some time. But now the fastest growing market for us is actually Europe, and Europe is now bigger than the United States. So this year that surpassed the US for the first time, and we're seeing a lot of growth in markets like Germany, Scandinavia, and also the Netherlands in particular.
And how many are the Zwifters now?
So we unfortunately can't say how many are currently subscribers, but since we launched in 2014, we've had over 1.6 million people create accounts in Zwift. So yeah, quite a few.
And do you also have lunch rides like the bike brands usually do, or your staff profile is kind of different?
Yeah,
maybe more like a band of nerdy geeks.
So we have workout Wednesdays. That could be a run or a ride. We also have the run product as well now. So every Wednesday, people at head office get the opportunity to take an hour out of the day to either cycle or run along the beach path in California, or ride or run on Zwift as well. And then we'll have a nice lunch afterwards. Yeah, that's a really important part of Zwift culture, is encouraging people to keep active.
Back then in October 2015 that you began charging the monthly fee.
Yeah.
What was the main goal at the early Zwift days? Be a training partner, a sports video game, maybe a kind of a realistic Wii from Nintendo, for those who are older. Yeah. And which was the main goal for you?
So the main goal then is really still the main goal now, and our mission statement is to make more people more active more often, and that really is what we strive to do. So it's all about creating a virtual community of athletes that enables people to exercise and work out when they otherwise might not be able to, whether that be because they don't have the time, whether because the weather is not very good outside, because it's dark outside, various different reasons. It's there to be facilitated to allow people to train more often and to have fun with it.
Okay, it doesn't matter your cycling skills or abilities.
No, and anybody. I think the people that we've really looked to cater for is basically anybody with a goal. So that goal could be looking to lose some weight. It could be looking to prepare for a specific event. Or for some of our Zwifters, it could be preparing to win the Tour de France or Ironman Kona, for example. Also
even triathletes and maybe mountain bikers too?
Yeah. So we have particularly on the triathlon side, we have a wealth of talent. We're really spoiled with the athletes that we have using the platform. So Jan Frodeno, Lucy Charles, Lionel Sanders, Javier Gomez has recently joined the platform as well. And then, we also have mountain bikers using Zwift to train. So the world cross-country mountain bike champion Nino Schurter uses Zwift as well. So it's really any kind of cyclist, runner, triathlete.
I see. And I know that you aim to get every kind of cyclist, runner and triathlete, as you said, but is there a mandatory characteristic that every person should have to enjoy this Zwift full experience?
I think if you have a goal, then that really helps, because you need to be motivated to want to train. So it could be that your goal is to race, or it could be that your goal is to stay fit. So it's really people with a goal and people who are passionate about the sport that I think get the most from Zwift. They join clubs, take part in a variety of the things that we offer, whether that be group rides or training programs. There's sort of anything there, no matter what your goal is.
And how different was Zwift then from today? How it evolved over the last few years? Or how did technology helped?
It's drastically different from when we first began. I think we've now moved on from the single world that we had to begin with, and we now have 8 different worlds in which you can train in. We have I think one of the key things that has developed in recent years is the introduction of events and a full events calendar in Zwift. So when Zwift first started, it was designed to be a training program, a training environment, a place for people to come together and experience that social interaction they get from exercising outdoors, but have that experience indoors. One thing that I think the founders didn't necessarily factor in from the beginning was the fact that people would want to race on the platform.
Yes.
And almost from the very first moments of Zwift, people began racing on Zwift, and they began meeting at certain points of Jarvis Island, racing for a certain number of laps or a certain amount of time. Really informally running events themselves. So Zwift noticed this behavior and had to react and create an event module. So we now have around 300 events taking place each day on Zwift, whether that be races, Fonda events, training rides, runs, you name it. So that's a huge difference. And then obviously the community has grown massively from when we first began. We got excited when we had 100 people on the platform for the first time. Now last Tuesday we had just shy of 15,000 people riding.
Wow.
So yeah, it's drastically different, and we can really say that it has become a virtual training community.
I see. And what about the obstacles, the hurdles that you may face, like the smart trainers aren't cheap, especially in countries such as Brazil or maybe in South America. Do you consider it a growing barrier, or do you have any plans to overcoming this issue?
Yeah, I think that that's been one of the biggest obstacles for us up till now. I think that smart trainers are a significant investment for people. So naturally, it's a considered purchase for someone to buy. But to really get the most from Zwift, you need to have a smart trainer. And you also need to understand how it works. So that is a difficulty for us to overcome. But now we've seen, now that the market is growing, more people are coming to Zwift, more people are buying smart trainers, the prices are coming down. There's more variety. So that is really helping bring people to the platform. And we've also been very keen to see smart bikes come to the market as well. Smart bikes obviously aren't any cheaper than smart trainers. They're actually more expensive, but you don't have to have the bike, and anybody in the household can use that same bike. So as a household investment, it presents good value. It's very simple to use. It's very clean to use. So we've seen early success with the smart bikes. So that's encouraging for the coming years. But I know in Brazil it's a challenge because import duties are so high that it can be difficult.
And is Zwift more popular in countries with a harsh winter, or it doesn't matter? Or bad weather like England in general?
Yes, we do have bad weather, unfortunately. Yeah, so I think that weather does play an important role in bringing people into the platform. We see that if it's cold and snowy outside, then people are more likely to want to use Zwift. So naturally, places like Scandinavia, the UK, are very, very popular places for Zwift. But then we have also started to see some strong growth in less cold places. So one of our biggest markets in the US is California. Australia is also one of our biggest markets. And we also see the opposite. So sometimes it becomes so hot in places like Australia, particularly now with the bushfires and things. People will be training indoors. So it really is a year-round product, but winter is our peak time.
In Sao Paulo, where I live, we saw on the last couple of years the opening of some indoor cycling-only gyms. Mm-hmm. One of them here in where I live, in the same street. Not spinning ones, but training-oriented gyms. All of them, after a couple of months, maybe a couple of years, all of them went closed. Mm-hmm. No, say that's my impression. It's easier and might be even funnier to train at home than to drive to the gym and to ride to the gym. What's your catch on that?
I think it's really one of the things that's worked well for Zwift. There are studios around the US and across Europe that have started to do exactly what you just described, set up studios where people can drop in and use Zwift. But one of the main reasons why Zwift was born, it was born out of a problem that our co-founders, Eric and John, faced, in that they didn't have the time anymore to be able to train. For John, it was because he had a young family, and for Eric, it was just living in the city and work meant that he had to train from home. So I think that convenience of having something in the house that's ready to go whenever you want is one of the beauties of Zwift. It's what we say is fitness on demand. You don't need to travel somewhere to do it. It's right there for you to use at any time.
Zwift received a second round of investment later in 2018. You have nowadays probably more than 240,000 fans on Facebook. Mm-hmm. You develop esports tournaments and Zwift Run, as you mentioned. Yeah. What are your next goals? Maybe, let's say, for the next couple of years or 5 years, and how did you plan to achieve it?
Yeah, so one of our main goals is continuing to improve the platform and grow the Zwift community. So we're continuing to build out new worlds for Zwifters, whether that be new cycling routes or new running routes. We're looking at new event formats, different ways to race on Zwift. We're constantly developing the Run platform. As you mentioned, esports is going to be a really big focus for us. Certainly this year in 2020 with the UCI Cycling Esports World Championships later this year. That's really exciting for us, and our stretch goal for Zwift Esports is to strive to become an Olympic sport. That's our North Star metric. That's what we're looking to achieve. So that's certainly a big goal for us. And then there's also the possibility of bringing in new sports to Zwift as well that we've not seen before. So Eric has often talked about the possibility of having rowing in Zwift. There's the beauty of being a virtual platform is that the opportunity is endless, really. There's lots in the works, and I think that you'll see lots of those come to life even in the next 12 months.
running is more popular than cycling in maybe most of the countries. Mm-hmm. Do you have plans, maybe, or even, I mean, not plans, but maybe one day running can be the main business, the main sport in Zwift?
Possibly. I think that there's the opportunity is really big, like you say. I think there are more runners globally, far more runners globally than there are cyclists. But I think there are a few challenges faced with running. In the barriers between the barriers like weather don't exist so much for running like they do with cycling. And the technology is also quite different. So the cycling technology now with smart trainers, where they've come to the experience that you can have is incredibly immersive. You can simulate riding up famous climbs like Alpe d'Huez. Some trainers can replicate the feeling of riding on cobblestone. So it really does transport you to another world when you're riding Zwift. I think with running, we're right at the very beginning of what's possible with the hardware technology. Because at the minute, it's all of the inputs have to be put into Zwift manually. There's no communication from Zwift to treadmills, but ultimately that's where we want to get to. I think if we can achieve that, then there's a significant opportunity for Zwift and running.
And when did you realize that you might have the strength to catch the UCI's attention and eventually become a UCI partner? That happens in 2018. For the first esports world championship that will be held this year.
Yeah, so I think we've...
It was a long process, because Zwift is not an old company, but it took some years before, or it was maybe fast.
I think we've always had a good relationship with the UCI. Both on an international and a localized level through federations. I think one of the nice things with the agreement to host the World Championships this year is that Eric and the UCI president David Lepartier share a similar vision in the opportunity that esports can deliver for sport and also for cycling. So for David Lepartier of the UCI, he sees esports as being an exciting opportunity to bring new young people into the sport and attract the attention of an entirely new audience. So for us, the visions aligned, and yeah, I think where we go from here is going to be really exciting.
And how's the process going? Such issues as credibility, accuracy, equal playing field?
Yeah, so that's something that we're working together on at the minute. Part of the agreement to host the UCI Cycling Esports World Championships was to work together and establish official rules for cycling esports. So we've been taking lessons that we've learned over the years from an accuracy and governance standpoint, and merging those with those that already exist from the UCI's constitution. So we should have an official rule book within the next few months that we'll be publishing in advance of the first officially sanctioned national championships taking place in the spring. So it's one of the big goals for us, and something that's incredibly important is to establish those strict rules of governance around the sport that we're creating.
Besides you and the UCI, are there other players working on that?
So we've been in talks with other technological companies. Amazon, for example, are developing machine learning tools. So esports feels very new to a lot of people, but it's been around for probably 20 years or so. And we're able to tap into a lot of the learnings from the esports industry. So one of the things that we're going to be working with Amazon on is machine learning.
Wow, nice.
And probably the best comparison I can give is biological passports that exist in the world of Olympic competition, world tour cycling, triathlon, etc. So what the Amazon machine learning will do is it will be able to build profiles on athletes who are racing on the platform and very quickly identify abnormal performances. So yeah, it's something that we need to build out, but the opportunity is quite exciting. I think we can really help move that fair play and governance forward.
Wow, that's nice. On a 1 to 10 scale, do you Zwift find, or how equal is riding on a Zwift world in comparison with the real world ride? Now you know that Matthew Hayman uses Zwift and won Paris-Roubaix, is already pros approved.
Yeah, I think it's difficult to draw parallels between indoors and outdoors. So I'm always hesitant to do it. I think the biggest parallel that you can draw between the two is the training benefit that you get from riding indoors. So obviously Matthew Hayman's story is the fairy tale story, breaking his arm just before Paris-Roubaix, everybody thinking that he was unable to ride his favorite race, and he trained exclusively on Zwift in the build up to that race and won. So that really was the fairy tale story and shows that there is a training benefit to be had. So the quality of the training that you get from riding indoors can really help improve your riding outdoors. I think that's the best similarity I can give. And then what we try and do for people riding indoors is to bring some of the experience that they love from outdoors into the home, so that social interaction that you get from being able to chat and ride with your friends, the competitive feeling you get from racing, and also the feeling, like I was talking about earlier with my early riding days in Cardiff, that feeling of being able to escape to another world. So that's why we take you into fantasy environments that you wouldn't be able to experience in the real world, like riding through the middle of a volcano or under the sea or up above the skyscrapers in New York in 100 years' time. So yeah, I think it's they're both different, but there are transferable skills between the two.
So could we see one day one real world champion be the same rider, the same person as the virtual one?
We may well do, yeah.
Is easier than vice versa, no?
Yeah, we may well do. Let's wait and see. We're hoping that some of the best riders from the professional peloton will be excited enough to try and compete at the Cycling Esports World Championships later this year. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm sure that we'll also see a number of specialists come and really hone their skills as being dedicated professional cycling esports competitors, much in the same way you've got world cyclocross champions and world road race champions. I think you'll also have cycling esports world champions as well.
Yeah, I've heard last year that the Giro d'Italia 2020 would have a Zwift prologue. Apparently no more. Can you confirm that? It was true, or what happened?
We ran an exhibition event in conjunction with the Giro d'Italia last year. So we had the prologue route in the game and did an exhibition with professional riders in Bologna as well. We haven't got any intentions at this stage to replicate that again in 2020. I think we've already got an action-packed calendar with the Esports World Championships later in the year. But never say never. I think that we've got huge respect for the Giro d'Italia and a fantastic partner to have been able to work with. So who knows? We may end up doing something again in 2021 or further down the line.
Okay, let's change the sport now. Let's talk a little bit about triathlon. The Zwift Academy Tri Team 2019 was a huge success. Do you have any plans on making it bigger, or even bigger but regional, maybe by continent or major countries where Ironman races, Ironman events are big, such as here in Brazil with the Ironman Florianopolis? And also you have a partnership with Specialized, Wahoo, Roca. Do you have any plans on expanding the team?
I think 2019, like you say, was a huge success, and we want to build on that for the 2020 Academy. Qualification for that actually just finished this Sunday. So if you haven't already logged your miles, unfortunately, you'll have to wait until next year. But yeah, so one of the goals is to be a truly global team. So the competition is open to anybody from around the world. And it's really dependent on the quality of candidates that we have applying for the Zwift Academy. Ideally, in an ideal world, we'd be able to have athletes from all the continents. I think we've not had anybody from South America or Asia on the team yet. So fingers crossed, we might find somebody for the 2020 team. And yeah, maybe we could look to replicate something on a smaller scale in the future at a more localized level. But it's I think if we did something like that, it would be probably most likely in conjunction with one of the federations, like the Brazilian Triathlon Federation, for example, on a smaller local scale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would be great for the sports in general, or triathlon, or even cycling. In comparison, cyclists against triathletes, do you have any numbers that show some difference in how those two kind of cyclists uses the Zwift, or even? I'm asking that because the triathletes are very well known for the early adopters on anything technological. So you began maybe more attracting more cyclists, but now with the Zwift Academy, the success that you had last year, are you experiencing maybe a faster growth among the triathletes?
Yes. So triathlon's an incredibly important market for us. Triathletes make up about 25% of our total audience, and are continuing to grow very quickly. I think that Zwift makes a lot of sense for triathletes because one of the biggest struggles when you're training for three disciplines is that it's very difficult to find time, especially if you're working a full-time job as well, to be able to train. So it's one of the beauties that Zwift is really convenient. If you have it in your home ready to go, you can just jump on Zwift and then get to work and do a pull session or a run session in some of the other time that you have throughout the day. So it's a really important tool for triathletes. And we do see different behavior between our cycle audience and triathlon audience. So we were just talking about it this week, actually, that triathletes are more likely to train early in the morning over cyclists, for example, who more often will Zwift in the evenings.
I see.
And also triathletes are more likely to use Zwift all year round. Whereas, like we discussed earlier about seasonality and bad weather training, cyclists will often use Zwift as a tool to train when the weather is bad outside, and then when the weather's good again, they will ride outside. But for triathletes, it's very much a training tool. So no matter what the weather's doing, it doesn't impact what they're doing. They still jump on Zwift. So yeah, really different audiences, and triathlon is a big focus market for us, which is why we run programs like the Zwift Academy Tri Team.
In big cities such as São Paulo and Rio here in Brazil, but I think that most probably also in major cities all around the world, it's harder and harder to go out and for a decent ride on a daily basis. Net traffic, pollution, security, even here in Brazil especially. I've been noticing that a lot of cyclists and triathletes are opting to ride indoors all the week long, and only ride outdoors on the weekends. It's simpler, safer, and faster not to do the training sessions, especially for the non-professionals. Does Zwift appears to be more popular among big city users?
It's certainly very popular in the cities. Eric, our CEO and co-founder, he was born in New York and now lives in London. And that was one of the big challenges that he faced, was being able to ride during the week, and that was a big motivation for creating Zwift. So yeah, for a lot of people, Zwift is a more convenient tool when they want to ride during the week, because they can get a quality training session in without having to stop because of traffic and traffic lights and pollution and all the things that go with big cities. So people in cities tend to be big Zwifters.
And how does Zwift sees our country, Brazil? Where does Brazilian Zwifters stand in comparison with other countries, maybe in Latin America and South America, or even USA, UK, Germany, France?
Mm-hmm. I think that there's a big opportunity with Brazil, because I think that they are, as a country, very early adopters of technology. We see big correlation between the users of Strava and people who enjoy Zwift, and Brazil is one of the big markets for Strava. So I think there's a big growth opportunity in Brazil, but one of the biggest challenges that we have in the Brazilian market is the cost of smart trainers because of import taxes and duty, unfortunately. So I think that at the minute the Brazilian market is still fairly small, but maybe in the future, if the cost of trainers can come down, then there's a big opportunity for Zwift in Brazil.
And don't you have any plans maybe to work to do a partnership with a smart training company and make it somehow more affordable, or to include on the monthly fee or something like that?
It's always a goal. So we've worked very closely with existing hardware partners since we launched in 2014, and one of the big goals is to reduce the cost of trainers for a global market. And most recently, one of the the solutions that we've tried to pull together is launching an e-commerce store on Zwift.com. So we now have a store where people are able to buy smart trainers and take out 0% financing options and Zwift packages, much in the same way that you pay for a mobile phone, for example, every month. That is something that we're currently building and looking to roll out in more countries. So eventually, we hope to roll that out fully in Brazil. We've recently launched in Europe. So that is one of the solutions. And I think that in the next 12 to 24 months, we'll see the cost and accessibility of trainers to be better than it's ever been before.
I see. And how the future looks like for Zwift? Virtual or augmented reality, maybe some Zwift glasses or maybe wind or a wind blower machine or maybe, anything. What is the next evolution that you're already working on that you can tell us? What can we expect and when it will be available?
Well, there are some great things already out there in the market. So Wahoo, for example, now have created the Wahoo Headwind, and that's a smart fan that you can connect to Zwift. So the faster you ride, the harder the fan will blow on your face, or the harder you ride, you can have it blow harder on you.
Did they know that?
It's really good. It's definitely it's a bit of a game changer. It surprised me how good that fan is actually. And then Saris also have created a plate that you can mount your trainer on your bike on that will rock from side to side, so it feels more realistic, much like the outdoors. And obviously Tax have got their real road feel with cobblestones and wood and gravel that comes through the pedals, so it's really, really, really realistic. So there's lots already out there that really make the indoor experience immersive. But most recently from Zwift, we introduced steering to the game. We launched that in September last year, and that opens up the door to a whole new world of immersion and opportunity to be able to fully steer your avatar through the game. So I think we'll see more from that in the next 12 months or so.
By the way, Zwift was ranked 5th in the Fast Company's 2019 most innovative companies on the sports sector. Mm-hmm. That shows that you're very well committed on being innovative and bring something new, always something new to the user, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that was a fantastic award to get last year. It's great to be included in that list, and hopefully we can maybe even improve on that this year. Who knows? But yeah, we're always looking to innovate, always looking to bring the product forward, and that's really what we continue to be focused on today.
Nice. So, Chris, do you have a final message to all our listeners around the world and all across Brazil?
It's been fantastic to speak with you. I do see a number of Brazilian flags on Zwift when I'm riding. I hope to see many more soon. So if you see my name pop up on the screen, be sure to give me a ride on, and I'll do the same.
Okay, Chris, thank you. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. We hope that Zwift develops here in Brazil as other countries. We are eager to see the next evolutions and what technology can do for us cyclists and triathletes.
Fantastic. Me too. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Goodbye. Thank you.
That's it, people. Another episode from the Endorfina podcast. If you liked it, let me know at EndorfinaBR on my Instagram profile. Let Chris Snook also know. I'll put some notes on this episode's page at endorfinabr.com, my webpage, so you can quickly access all the Chris Snook social media profiles. And if you enjoyed it, you can check the first English episode with Tim Don. Just go to your main podcast app, Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Himalaya, and all the major ones, and you can look for the Tim Don episode. I have already 2 episodes from Tim Don, the English version and the Portuguese version, so you can check the English version if you like. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed it, and see you next week. Bye-bye. This episode was brought to you by 7 Sherpas. 7 Sherpas is a California-based company specialized in sports experiences in the world's top destinations with exclusive itineraries designed by travel and sports experts. In addition to the pre-scheduled travel calendar, 7 Sherpas also offer day rides and customized trips for you, your family, or group of friends. Follow them on Instagram at 7 Sherpas or visit 7sherpas.com. This episode was also brought to you by BOVEN Energy. BOVEN is an energy trading company that has a reliable and experienced team of experts available to get you the best deals. A trustful and solid company, as well as for Endorphin guests, for BOVEN Energy is serious business. Check them at boven.com.br. And this episode was also brought to you by Supercas, the brand that delivers the sexiest and most technical cycling products on the market. Born in California back in 2010, Supercas wanted to deliver more casuality and color to the cycling world. Bar tapes, grips, gloves, socks, and saddles made by Supercas are race-proven. Some of the world's best cyclists have tested and approved Supercas accessories for the past decade. Go to ultracycle.com.br to check the bike shops that sell Supercas products here in Brazil, or go to supercas.com to check the complete line of products and accessories. Check Supercas on Instagram at supercasbr and Supercas.